Hello, today we are taking a look at Bossin Space. This is pretty much cooperative Space Invaders. I'll be playing it solo, so there are a few rules that changes. I'll let you know what those are. Our goal in this game is to get rid of these enemy units, already 4 start on the board. Eventually we will find the mothership and we need to destroy it before our ship either loses all its life or it overheats. So we have 2 losing conditions and 1 winning condition. How the game plays is that enemies will play these cards. This is a pre-assembled deck. It's always the same deck, although you can put extra cards here to make the game either easier or harder. So right now we have here a row that tells you how the enemies will act this round. They will do this in order. And now we need to figure out what our ship will do. The thing is, we'll play 4 cards, and these cards tells you what you can do. For example, this one lets you move the ship to the left, this one lets you move the ship to the right, and this one lets you shoot something in your column. I apologize right away, I will make some verbal gaffes, I will make some mistakes playing. That's normal, but I hope you get the spirit of how the game plays. So, what is different in solo mode as opposed to the cooperative affair? Normally, each character or each player would have one of these characters that would give them a special ability. That's gone in the solo mode. Depending on the number of players will without communicating with each other, would play a number of cards. For example, in a 4-player game, every player would play one of these cards. In a solo game, this is a bit different. So you still need to play 4 cards, but you don't play them 4 in a row. You have no hand in the solo mode. How it works is you'll take 3 cards, choose 2 to play, you put the card you didn't select on the bottom, then you take 4 cards, choose 2 to play, and put the other 2 on the bottom. So as you can see, you are also preparing your last rounds of this deck. When this deck runs out, you simply reshuffle. So let's just start and I'll explain what will happen. So first I'll explain what the enemies do. This card is the spawn card. This means every enemy that is here will come down 1 row and new enemies will spawn over there in the first row. It's one of the worst cards you can face. This card here simply tells you that 1 enemy from the first column will move to the second column. This card is one of the best. They do nothing. Very good for us. And this card says any enemy in column 2 and column 3 will shoot you. So we will try to either not end in column 2 or 3, so we'll try 1 or 4, or we'll try to kill all the units before they fire at us. Let's take a look at those units. This unit deals 2 damage when it attacks, gives you 1 XP, we'll get into that later, and has 1 life. This unit is pretty much the same, but only deals 1 damage. If 2 units are in the same row and they fire, you only take damage from the highest unit. So you would take 2 damage because of that one, not 3 from 2 and 1. Alright, so now we'll know what they'll try to do, and we are going to try to avoid that. So I'll draw my first 3 cards and select 2 to play. Alright, so here there's 2 ways of shooting. These cards are the same. This is the simplest shot. You simply fire straight and you'll deal 1 damage to that unit. All level 1 units simply have 1 life, so they are immediately defeated. This is a pretty good shot. Then you have the laser. The laser right now deals 2 damage. You can see this because it's the number that is here. So 1 plus whatever is here. This is our spaceship. It helps track the XP, our life, our heating. And here are things you can upgrade as you level up. The base laser will deal 1 damage, but you can upgrade it to deal to deal 3, to deal 4, and here's something different. The thing with the laser is it does 2 damage, which right now doesn't matter to us because there's no unit here, but it overheats your machine. So every time you use the laser, you need to increase your heat. If this ever hits the skull, you're gonna lose. So how do you decrease this track? Let's say I would play this and this would increase the track. At any point I can have a card here, and instead of resolving this card, I can choose to just do nothing with it and then cool down my ship. This is very important. Alright, since enemies are gonna be spawning, I think I'll actually use the laser, and I'll also use the normal shot. I don't need to decide in which column I place it yet. I can see the 4 cards. So the card I didn't pick goes to the bottom of the deck, and now I draw 4 more, and I need to select 2 more to play. Alright, let's take a look at the cards. This card allows me to move once to the right, really good. This card allows me to move twice to the left, can be very useful as well. Another shot, this card is an EMP. It's super powerful. You put it in a column and it cancels the enemy card that is there. So this can be very, very useful. The thing is, it also, as you can see here on the corner, also hits your machine. So I probably will save this for later because I think I have it under control. Let me see what I want to do. So I want to use those shots, some movement, and let's put some more movement. Alright, so I'm saving these 2 for later. They are very useful, but I don't want to just put bad cards at the bottom of the deck, otherwise I'll have very bad cards on there. So now there's 2 ways you can do here. So I have selected the 4 cards for this round. You can either assign them already, as you wish, and then you'll start always with a player card, enemy card, enemy card, always like this. Or what you can do, and that's what I'm gonna do, it's slightly easier. You can assign the cards one at a time, resolve the enemy card, and then decide what you put here. So, because I'm trying to win, and I've lost plenty of times in this game, I'll use the easier mode. So, let's start with the cards, shall we? I do the normal fire, so I defeat this enemy. It has only 1 life, so it's gone, and it gives me 1 experience. Because I have 1 experience, I move the blue cube once to the right. Whenever the blue cube reaches a yellow cube, I'll be able to upgrade something on my ship. So I need 2 more XP before I can do that. So I resolved my card. Now we'll resolve the enemy cards. So every unit that's on the board goes down 1. And then you put enemies in the first row. Alright. So now there's already a lot of units to deal with. I know that the next thing they are going to do is move this unit here to the right, then they'll do nothing, and then they'll fire on my row. So I have movement and a laser. So what I'm gonna do right now is just move to the right, then resolve the enemy card. He'll move 1 enemy, so the lowest enemy on this track, from the first column to the second column. Now it's my turn again, and what I'll do is I'll play the laser. This lets me shoot twice in this column, so because there's 2 enemies here, each has 1 life, so they are both defeated. I gain 1 XP for one and another XP for another. So now, because this cube reached a yellow cube, it goes back to 0. We grab the yellow cube, and now we can assign it to any of these 3 bonuses. What are the bonuses? It upgrades your missile card, which we haven't seen yet. It upgrades the laser card, which starts dealing 3 damage instead of 2, very valuable. Or new cards. I'll start with the new cards. So there's always these 6 special cards. They are more of the same that you already saw, such as the laser, but there's also some special cards here. I won't take a look at them now. I'll simply draw 2. That's what this upgrade lets you do. You grab these 2 cards and you shuffle it into your deck. That means that the card that I was saving at the end of the deck can now be anywhere else. Alright, so now we resolve the enemy card, they do nothing, and now I know that they will fire in the second column and in the third column, but there's no one here to hit me, so I'm not that worried. Because I use this laser, I need to increase the hit. So now I could use this card to jump twice to the left, where I would still be safe from the shots, but what I'll choose to do, sorry I was here, is not use this card and instead cool down my ship. Alright? So, that was the first round, and we just keep going. So they shoot, nothing happens. Now you put 4 more cards here for the enemy. So what do we know? Units will move, units will fire, units will move, and new units will spawn. So let's start the player's turn, draw 3. There's an EMP. I think I'm gonna save that one because I probably want to block this spawning. Why? Because otherwise these units will keep going down, and if they ever cross this line, they automatically deal damage to me, they disappear, and they give me no XP, so I don't want too many units on the board. And then I'm gonna have to pick one of these movement. I'm gonna pick to go left. The card goes on the bottom. I draw 4 more cards, and now select 2. Alright, I have some firing. This is good. So what are these cards? The firing you already know. This is regain 1 life, so if we had lost 1 life because we got hit, we could regain it. And this is the teleport gun. You can pick any unit on the board and move it to the place you want. So you could move it over there. It's quite useful. So I'm gonna pick the 2 shots and I'm gonna save these cards for later. So I have these cards, and what I'm gonna pick is first to move to the left, then resolve the enemy. This enemy is gonna run away, not great for me. Then I'm gonna shoot. I will defeat this enemy in my column, gain 1 XP. Then I need to choose what I'm gonna do. I can either shoot or use the EMP. If I use the EMP, I would cancel this movement, which is not that important. Sorry, I forgot to show you. I was mistaken. So this is the normal shot, right? And this, as you can see here, is an upgraded card. It's one of those cards that I got when I leveled up. This actually gave 2 shots, so it was a bit of a waste to use it now. And this card does not increase our hit, so that's that. I'll choose to do nothing with this card. I don't have any hitting to reduce, but I still don't get anything from firing blanks. So this card now tells us that the enemy on column 4, always the first one, counting from the bottom, moves to the left. And now they would spawn. I don't want them to spawn, so I'll use the EMP, increase my hit, and this card from the enemy is completely ignored. So another round is through. And now we draw the last 4 cards from the enemy deck. After this, we're going to shuffle the deck. Alright, so what are the cards here? Shooting on the first 3 columns. The 3rd column moves to the right. Activation, I'll come back to this. And then shooting in the last 3 columns. What are activations? If you can see in these cards on the bottom here, there's the thunder symbol that says the enemy shoots and then it moves towards our ship. Actually here, it's not always the case, but right now, every enemy has these thunder symbols. So if this card triggers, it's going to be very painful, because this enemy is going to shoot in both his column and adjacent columns, and then it's going to self-destroy. We don't get any XP from that. This enemy will shoot and move towards us. This enemy will overhit our ship, regardless of whether we are in its column or not. And this enemy will simply be discarded. So let's see what we can do about that. We have plenty of movement. I'm gonna save those 2 movement. And then in the next 4 cards, what do we have? We have some shooting and some more movement, which I'll probably keep in order to... It's gonna be a tough round. Well, let's keep the healing because I'm feeling like I'm gonna get quite shot. Alright, so we'll start by firing the portal gun, and we are gonna move this enemy over there because there's an empty slot here. The enemy goes there. Then we'll get shot because this enemy will fire at us, so we lose 1 HP. Then we are going to choose to spend this card now in order to defeat this enemy, because otherwise he'll activate again and fire at us. So we defeat this enemy, gives us 1 XP. The enemy in the 3rd column moves to the right. Alright, this board doesn't stay flat, it's a bit annoying. Then we need to pick our next play. We know that the thunder will activate, and this thing is going to fire and miss, and then move there. This thing is going to increase our hit, which is already on 1, and this card is going to get discarded. So what I'm going to choose now is to heal. Then we activate the thunders. So this enemy shoots, misses, and moves over here. This enemy gets discarded. This one goes up to cover the space, and now it hits our ship. Alright? So now we have two things we can do. We can spend this card to run away, because this card means this guy will shoot us, or we can decrease our hit. I'm gonna choose to run away to the left. And now column 2, 3, and 4 shoots at us, but does nothing. Alright? These cards are gone. And now we just shuffle the enemy deck. It's always the same 12 cards, but they'll come out in different orders. Different order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So a lot of spawning and a lot of shooting. This is not good for us. And now we draw 3 cards. So shooting and movement sounds wise. And then what else? Double movement comboed with that one can help us avoid this shot. So I'm gonna keep it, and I'm also gonna take another shot. Okay, there's gonna be a lot of enemies. First, I'm gonna decide to move once to the right. Then enemies will spawn. The ones that are here get moved down, and new enemies spawn. Alright, right now, as you can see here, we are about to spawn our first level 2 enemy. What's different about this one? It gives us 2 XP, 1 shot, and still has 1 life, but has here more annoying powers. This one always hits us regardless of whether it is, if the thunder gets activated. And this one has 2 life instead of just 1, also has a worse activation effect. So now we know that the next thing they are gonna do is once again spawn, which means that this column and that column will be filling these 2 spaces, which is quite dangerous. So what I'm gonna choose to do is shoot to get rid of this one enemy. Gives us 1 more XP. Then they will once again spawn. This card goes down. Every card on the board goes down. And new enemies spawn. Alright, here I want to talk about this enemy, because it's something unique. As you can see here, deals 1 damage, gives us 2 XP. It has a shield, and this means that you need to deal him 2 damage or more with 1 single card in order to defeat it. If it had 2 shields, you would need to deal 3 damage. So this card right now, the only way we have of killing it is with that special card that we saw, the double fire, or with a laser. These enemies are very annoying. That's why you need to upgrade your ship. Alright, so they spawned. What will I do? I know that they will fire in column 1, 2, 3, so I'll play this card to run away over here. Column 1, 2, 3 will fire. We are not there. And now I'm gonna clear this spot. I'm gonna put the firing card. I fire at this enemy. This means that we get 1 more XP, and once again we hit the yellow cube. And what I'm gonna do is increase our missile card, which we haven't drawn, so I'm hoping we'll draw it soon. And then we go back to 0 on the XP. Alright, then the enemy in column 2 goes to column 1, and once again we are here in danger. Alright, next round. A lot of movement and some shooting, so quite safe. Alright, so here we have some neat cards. Here's the missile cards. How the missile cards work is that you can fire a number of missiles always at the first enemy in a column. In the beginning, this would have been 1 missile, but since I upgraded it last round, we can shoot 2 missiles, and I would like to ideally fire at that guy. So I will try to time it so that that will happen. We also have an EMP, but I'm not too worried about that. Also, don't forget, both the EMP and the missile will hit our ship. So we have to be careful not to overheat. So I'm gonna pick those 2, save the EMP for later. Draw 4 cards. What do we have? Some shooting, some movement. So ideally I could shoot a lot, but I also need to cool down our machine. Can I run away from this? I don't think I can, because they will fire in column 4. I think the only way I can run from this is if I were to defeat every enemy in my column, but that will be very hard. Unless... Yes, alright, so I'm gonna put that there. Maybe I save this for shooting. Let me figure out what I want to do. Let's say I want to shoot. Well, no, let's cool down the machine. So I'm saving 2 shots for later. Let's start then. So the first card that I pick to play will be the moving to the left. Then this card will trigger. You move the enemy in column 1 to column 2. Then here, this guy is gonna step away from me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually choose to shoot him. So he has only 1 life, he's immediately defeated and gives me 2 XP. Oh, that was not the play I wanted, because now this enemy, oh no, that actually works, moves to the right, and now theoretically with a normal shot I wouldn't be able to hit anyone. But gladly I have the missile, and the missile says I can hit in any column, and right now my missile is upgraded, deals 2 damage, so I can choose to spend this missile. I increase the hit to hit this guy over here, which has a shield, but I go over the shield and I get 2 more XP. Then column 2, 3, 4 fire. I'm not there, so I don't take the shot. They will do nothing in their last card, and here I could choose to move, but I prefer to not use the card and just cool down a little bit the ship. Alright, this card does nothing. So now I'm gonna guess we're gonna be in trouble. Yes, because they will fire and they will activate this activation effect, which means this unit will shoot. This is the symbol for spawning. He will spawn an enemy right here, which is annoying. These units do nothing. This one fires in its column and adjacent, so it will fire in column 4 and 3, or even worse if it moves, and this one will simply fire. So I need to figure out something, how to avoid all that damage and all those enemies. Wow, okay. So I have the laser, 2 shots in 1 column, the missile, 2 shots in any column, or 1 shot in 1 column, another shot in another column. I'm gonna save the laser for later because I don't even have enemies in front of me. And then I'm gonna draw 4 cards. I really need to cool down my ship. I'm gonna figure out a way to move and probably cool down the machine. All right. So the first thing that will happen is that they will fire in the 4th column. I want to avoid that, so I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna use my missile. Since there's no one with shields here, I'm not too preoccupied, but I'm preoccupied with this effect where they will spawn something. So I'll increase the hit and fire 2 missiles. First missile will defeat this enemy, which once again gets us a level up. It goes back to 0. And now we can put this cube either on firing more missiles, but we just fired the missile shot, increasing the laser, or more cards. I'm gonna increase the laser because in level 3 there are some enemies with double shield and I really want to get rid of those. So we resolved my missile. I shot once, I need to shoot again. So I can defeat that one, which has 1 life, defeat this one, or deal 1 damage to this one. Since this dealing 1 damage to this one would not be enough, and this activation power will already destroy it, I will actually choose to defeat that one. I know it's higher up, but it gives me 2 XP, so I'll prioritize that. And now the missile is resolved. Now column 1 and column 4 fire. And I was thinking of using this card to refresh my ship, but if I can, now it's better, even if I will end up taking some damage. So I'm gonna choose to move. Then the enemy on column 4 will move. Then I'll choose to fire at this guy, gaining me 2 more XP. Now the thunders will activate. What does this mean? This one does nothing, does nothing. This one is annoying because it shoots here, here, and here. So we take 1 damage, and this card is destroyed, is discarded, but we don't get XP. Finally, I'm not gonna use this card because I really need to cool down the ship. It's not in a good state. Column 2 and 3 fire, and that's it for another round. So right now my ship is hit once, and the hitting situation is not that good. So I really need to cool that down. It's not too bad because there's not many enemies on the board, but if they start spawning, that will be annoying. Wow, this is a very good round for me to charge up. So let's see what we can do. 3 cards. So I'm gonna put this one here and this one there, so just movement. Now with 4 cards, some more movement. I'm gonna save 1 shot and a movement. Okay. So the first thing they are gonna do is move, then shoot, then move back into this place. So I'm not too preoccupied with that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is use this card to cool down the ship. Okay. Then this enemy moves over here. Then I'll choose to cool down the ship again. Then they fire on column 2 and 3. Now it's safe to go to column 2 and 3, and I'll do just that, go to column 2. The enemy in column 1 comes to column 2. Finally, I fire my shot, deal 1 damage to this unit and destroy it, and they do nothing. So I got a resting round, which I sorely needed, otherwise the ship would overheat. So now enemies will move, fire, fire, and then trigger thunder. So in this card, as you can see, I don't think it has happened before yet. It says that the enemy in column 3 would move to column 4, but there is no enemy in column 3. So you need to use the alternative effect. And the alternative effect of this card says that you will spawn an enemy in column 4. So that's kind of annoying, but it's not the end of the world. I think there will be 2 spawns next round. So I'm almost through the deck, so I know there is some EMP there. Alright. I definitely want to save the laser, because there will be a lot of units coming through. So I'll play both of these shots. And then with the next 4 cards, I need to save the EMP for later. I can heal, and I'll probably move. Alright, so these 2 cards are gone. I'll end up drawing them. Which one do I want to make sure I get next round? Probably a shot. I don't remember what I put there. A good player would. Alright, so first card, shooting this enemy. Oh, it's not enough. Alright, so I just deal 1 damage to it. Then the enemy in column 3 moves, but there is no enemy there, so we spawn 1 in column 4. It's just an annoying enemy that will increase our hitting. Then I'll make another shot, destroying this enemy, which gets us 2 XP. First XP gets us a level, and the second XP goes back to 1. So now I have an extra option, so I can increase the missiles, would be useful. Increase the laser, also useful. More cards, or I can, because I have this column completed, I can gain 1 more life, and I'll just do just that. So now my ship has 4 max life and 1 damage already. Enemies in column 1 and 4 fire. I'm not there, so I don't care. Then I'm gonna choose to heal. Enemies in column 2, 3, 4 fire. I don't care because I'm not there. This guy will increase our hitting, but there's nothing I can do about that, so I'll actually use that card to move. This guy will trigger his activation effect, which increases our hit. Alright. Although the board looks clean, that will quickly change, as you can see here. It will spawn, fire, spawn, and then move. So I really need that EMP to keep things safe. So I'm gonna take 2 cards that are gonna increase my hit. So the EMP and the laser. Now I put this card at the bottom of the deck. I draw 4 more, but I only have 2. So I need to shuffle this card pile. So we have here already 1, 2, 3 cards that increase hit, and we know we can't use all of those. So I'll probably end up saving the laser for later. Okay, so 2 more cards. I would have to pick 2 from this. I'll pick movements so that I can cool down the ship. Probably the double movement, actually. Alright, so that's that. So the first thing I want to do is ignore a card. So I'll ignore that card to cool down my ship. And now enemies will spawn. So level 2s, a lot of damage but very weak. Another level 2. Here finally a level 3. 2 damage, 3 XP, 2 life. Alright, so now they will fire on column 2. There is no shielded enemy, so I'll choose to use my laser right away. It's right now dealing 3 damage actually. Feels like a waste to damage only here. So actually what I'm gonna do is move first. So I move over there. These other 3 columns fire, I'm not there, I don't care. Now I will increase the heat to block this card so that they don't spawn anymore. Now I'll fire my laser. As you can see here, I deal 3 damage. So 2 damage here, which gets me 2 XP. And 1 damage in that last enemy. And that also increases my heat. Finally, we resolve this card that moves this enemy over here. Which is kind of annoying because right now I have no one to fire against. So hopefully I'll have another chill round because my ship is overheating and there's a lot of enemies. If we get another spawn or double spawn, that will be problematic. So movement, another spawn. Alright, let's see what we can do with that. I draw 3 cards, another laser. Whew. I could get rid of that column and I think I'm gonna do just that. And now I need to cool down my ship, so hopefully there's some cards here that I can discard. Yeah, I'm taking these 2 just to cool down the ship, saving the shot and the life for later. So, first things first, I move. Then the enemy in column 2 moves to column 1. I fire my laser, which increases the heat, but deals 3 damage, so 1 here and 2 there, which is enough to destroy both of these enemies. So the first one, this one gives me 1, 2, 3 XP. The next one gives me 2 XP, so one gets me a level up, and the second one moves me to step 1. So now I need to decide what to increase. I cannot increase life again, so I can make missiles better, the laser better, or 2 more cards. I'm gonna opt to increase the missiles. So now, enemies in column 1 go to column 2, or the first enemy. Then I'll choose to cool down my ship. Then they spawn. So we are running out of enemy cards. So soon the boss will come. Alright, so a lot of shielded enemies. 1 shield, 1 shield, 1 shield, double shield. So these are a pain. Now, with this, I could choose to move, because the enemy in column 3 is gonna move, but I really need to cool down the ship, so that's what I do. I do nothing with this card, and then the enemy in column 3 goes to column 4. Not looking great, but not looking too dire. So more spawning, shooting, and nothing. I really need some strong weapons. So, am I gonna get shot? Right now it doesn't look like it. The portal gun would be helpful, and the shot will for sure be helpful. And now, what else do I have? Just single shots, which means I cannot kill the shielded enemies. So I'm gonna take another shot and probably take this card to cool down. Alright. So, let's resolve the portal gun. I hope I'm playing this correctly, because now I'm thinking that maybe I would shoot someone and move it elsewhere instead of just choosing any enemy. I'm not sure how it works, I'll check it out after the game. So the first thing I'm gonna do, play this card, face down, cool down my ship. Then this card means this enemy goes over here. So now, even though I have 2 hits, they are on different cards, so I cannot hit any of these single shield enemies. So what I'm gonna do is move this enemy over here. I'm choosing this one because I have 2 shots, and that way I don't waste any shot, and if he activates his effect it will spawn more enemies, and I don't want that. Then More enemies spawn. Alright, and now we revealed the boss. That means this big sucker over here is gonna join us next round. He makes single hits, and I don't know if you can see, he has 8 hit points that we can track there, but he's still not yet on the board, only during the next phase. So, now I'm ruined, because I'm gonna get shot heavily. That was not well planned, but I'll do what I can. I shoot this first enemy, then they shoot in every column. Luckily in my column they do a single damage. Then I'll shoot again, destroy this one enemy, get 2 XP, and then they do nothing. So now either I get lasers or missiles, or I'm kind of dead. So now the boss will come, and I need to find other space, so I'm sorry, but I'll have to remove the ship from view. I'll just I'll just remove the life so that you can keep track. So as you can see here on top, we have 0 hit, 3 life, and 1 wound. Alright, so how does the enemy work? So there's multiple bosses in the game. Each bosses have their own deck of cards. They are always in the same order, and they work just like the enemies. So here he moves to our column, he shoots in our column, he increases the hit, and he heals 1. So these bosses are very tough, and there's so many level 3 enemies in play that this will be a hard fight. Let's see if we can squeeze a win out of it. And the enemies keep coming, shooting, moving, doing nothing, and shooting again. So what can we do about that? EMP would be very helpful, because an EMP right now blocks both the enemy card and the enemy card. Sorry, the enemy card and the boss card. Missiles. I really need those, because if I have those, I can get rid of shielded enemies, and right now I'm firing 3 shields. Sorry, 3 missiles, which would allow us to both kill one of these shielded enemy and that one. The portal gun, I'm gonna save it or use it, because it might mean I don't get shot. Whoops, sorry, 1 card too much. Double shot, also very useful. And some movement, which I will keep because it might let me run away. Probably will still end up dying. So, what do we have now? We'll start by... Thing is, if we run away now, we are gonna get shot. Not looking great. Well, let's start with the missiles. I'll fire 3 missiles. First missile goes over here, gets us 2 XP. Then we fire 2 more missiles and we can defeat any enemy in this column except that one, because he has 3. So I'm gonna defeat that one. Am I? No, that's not a great play, because this one only decreases our XP. I don't want any more enemies spawning, and we'll probably draw an activation symbol soon. So I'm gonna use my 2 missiles over here, gets us 3 more XP, which is enough to level once again. So now I need to choose. Either I increase my missile count to 4. You cannot see it from there, sorry. I had increased my missile count to 4, I increased the laser to 4, or I draw 2 more cards. I'm gonna increase the laser. So, because I fired the missile, I increased the hit by 1. Now we get shot in this column 3. The boss is also here. He's outside the board, you cannot really see it. Alright. So theoretically he has an extra row over here. So he's also on column 3. And we get shot in column 3. All of them just deal 1 damage, so we just lose 1 damage. Now, he's gonna fire, so I definitely want to move away from here. Although there is no safe place to move, this was very badly played. Maybe we don't move, because if we don't move, we only take the 1 damage, and if we move to either of these columns, these enemies will deal us 2 damage. So we don't move. since we don't move, we can decrease the hit. Then an enemy in column 3 moves to column 4. The big boss fires. We take 1 more damage. Yeah, I don't think I did the wise play. What will I do? This will allow us to shoot twice. So what I'm gonna do... Who is the worst enemy? I'll move this enemy over here. Then... Oh, we are gonna die. Well, happens. So I move the enemy. This card increases our hit. Now I shoot this enemy, which gets us 1, 2, 3 XP. Finally, we get shot by enemies in column 3 and 2, 1, but doesn't matter, which decreases our life to 0. Then the boss would heal. But since we lost all our life, our little ship died and got destroyed in space. Yeah, so this has been my experience with the game. Playing in the normal mode, I constantly get whooped. I guess I'm just not that good at it. I think it might be slightly easier in cooperative mode, but I've also lost in that mode. Still, it's a very funny game. You can configure the difficulty. So in the first couple of games I played in easy mode, which adds more cards here that are actually good, or at least not bad for you. And that's a pretty good thing. I enjoyed this game. I think it's quite tough, or I just need to learn to play it, but I've lost now 5 times in a row solo. There's a lot of variety in the bosses. There's like 4 to 5 bosses. Each boss has its own deck of cards, its own character card that gives different stats, its own standee. There are player powers that shake up a little bit how the game works. Basically, you get a bonus that you can use when you're the captain of the round. That changes every round. In solo mode, you don't use that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes, and I hope you had fun watching how to play Bossin Space. Give it a look. It's a very fun game. Bye-bye.